Welcome to the Monday evening masterclass. We are starting with our Ayurveda talk. And our Ayurveda talk tonight is on the 8 branches of Ayurveda. So there are 8 branches of yoga, and people talk about that a lot in yoga. But there are also 8 branches in Ayurveda. And by the way, yoga is a therapy of Ayurveda. And there's a lot of people that do not know that do not realize that Ayurveda is a whole science, and yoga and Ayurveda are considered sister sciences, but yoga is a treatment of Ayurveda. Anyway, so we're going to talk about the ancient system of Ayurvedic medicine and science. And what are those 8 branches? So the first branch of Ayurveda is internal medicine. And this actually relates to the mind and the body. And that's because the mind can cause illness in the body. So if you have a certain way of thinking, that can actually cause illness and disease in the physical body. So they're super interconnected and related. And that's why you hear about the mind-body connection. And so that internal medicine focuses on that mind-body connection and works with the physical body and the mental body, but there is a whole nother separate part for the mental body. It's going to address all the different constitutions. So if you don't know what those are called the doshas. And they actually consider that we talk about the 3 doshas, but there are 7 different constitutions. And that's because you could be a Vata Pitta, you could be a Pitta Vata, you could be a Pitta Kapha, or you could be a Kapha Pitta. There's all these different combinations of how the elements come together that make up the constitutions and how you move through the world based on your constitution. So it addresses all of those, and it works with different imbalances, how to bring the body in harmony so that the mind can be in harmony. And also part of that is Panchakarma. And I want to start talking about Panchakarma because Panchakarma is a really important part of Ayurveda. In fact, it is what we do when we're doing a cleanse. We are actually doing Panchakarma. Panchakarma means 5 actions. And I'm going to just read to you really quick what Panchakarma does. It completely removes toxicity from the body. So any kind of accumulation of excess, which we call ama, which also means toxins, it removes it from the body. And this method reverses the disease path from its manifestation stage back into the bloodstream and eventually into the gastrointestinal tract, which is where the original site of the imbalance or disease is. And this is achieved through special diet, oleation, which is an oiled massage. It's also done with steam therapy, so heat. And at the completion of these therapies, there are special forms of purgation and removal of the excesses at their original site. So once we bring it back into the gastrointestinal tract, if you have a kapha imbalance, that means that the original site is going to be in the stomach. So we would then everything would come back into the stomach, and then we would purge. Or if you have a pitta imbalance, you have excess pitta in the body, then that process would bring it into the original site of pitta, which is going to be the small intestines. And if you have a vata imbalance, it will bring it into the original site in the digestive tract, which is the colon and the large intestines. So depending upon your constitution or what your excess is in the body, is that whole method of coming back into the gastrointestinal tract is going to go to the original site depending upon what's going on with you. So it's different for everybody. So you have purgation, And that removes all the excesses from the original sites, which I told you where they are: stomach, small intestines, large intestines, colon. And then in Ayurveda, the very last stage of Panchakarma is rejuvenation. So you rebuild the body's cells and tissues after toxins have been removed. And this is actually a really important stage. And I've had lots of people that go through the cleanse. And by the way, I'm going to say this: last fall, I actually had more people doing the cleanse rejuvenation than ever before. So I'm hoping this spring, more people get on board and start realizing how important this process is, because you are reversing the disease pathway. And once you rebuild the cells and the tissues, then you want to maintain. A lot of people will go through the cleanse process and then go back to what they were doing before. It's like taking your trash out, and then you go back out into the trash and then bring it all back in and ingest it. That's what it's like. You took the trash out and now you're going to bring the trash back in. So you don't want to do that. So Panchakarma is removing the toxins, and then you rejuvenate and you try to maintain that health as much as you can. So that's part of the internal medicine process, which is your first branch of Ayurveda. Your second branch is the ears, the nose, and the throat. And it deals with all imbalances, diseases, and illnesses of those particular areas of the body. The third one is toxicology. Toxicology is actually dealing with air and water pollution, toxins in animals, minerals, vegetables, and all other environmental type of toxins, as well as keys for recognizing what the particular antidotes are for helping with those toxins. The fourth branch is pediatrics, and that's dealing with prenatal, postnatal care of the baby and the mother, and also methods of conception and child gender and intelligence, constitution, childhood diseases, and midwifery. The next stage, or the next branch, is surgery. And there are over 2,000, more than 2,000 particular methods of surgery recognized in Ayurveda. And by the way, those particular surgeries spread across Egypt, Greece, Rome, and then eventually throughout the entire world, even in China. Then the next branch is psychiatry, and that is dealing with specific diseases of the mind, and it uses herbs, diet, and lots of different therapies, mantras, and breathing, and a lot of different therapies like in yoga, and all of those can be used to help that. And then you have aphrodisiacs. And by the way, aphrodisiac is an Ayurvedic word which deals with infertility and also spiritual development. That means that you're actually transforming your energy and trying to lift it up into spiritual energy. And typically that's dealing with the sexual energy. So if you have ever heard of people Kundalini rising, it's a complex topic, but that's basically what you're doing, is you're trying to lift it up, elevate it, and pull it into more of a spiritual type of practice. So very involved actually in yoga. Yoga uses a lot of those methods. It has a lot of methods for helping with that. And then the last branch is rejuvenation. And this is your prevention and longevity branch. And it is also where you are employing a certain way of living so that you have longevity and you have quality of life. So those are the 8 branches of Ayurveda. And I think that as Ayurveda begins to gain popularity, we are going to be hearing more and more and more about Ayurveda, especially for those of you who do yoga. You're going to start hearing more about Ayurveda because it is becoming more popular those yoga populations are starting to be interested in Ayurveda. It's definitely something that can make your life better all the way around. Okay, so those are the 8 branches. If you have questions, reach out to me. Like I say, I'm always here for you guys. And I definitely think that if you have not had an Ayurvedic consultation, come and get one. And we'll also need to start thinking about the spring cleanse coming up here in the next month or 2, because days are getting longer. And that means that we're moving from a Vata season into a Kapha season. So you're going from dry, cold, harsh into moist and heavy. And that can cause a lot of havoc in the body system. So we want to encourage removal of toxins and accumulation from winter. All right, let's get started with our practice.